Hey everyone! For all who are new to my channel, my name's Denise and my channel Under One Roof is all about home organization, homemaking and baking. So, if you like it, do consider subscribing and press that bell icon for future updates and notifications. So, my baking journey started about 10 years ago as a hobby and it eventually became a passion. I started reading about different baking techniques and experimenting with different recipes and had a whole lot of trial and errors. So, today I would like to share a few tips that I have learned and still learning. So, here are a few tips. It sounds very obvious, but it's the most important step for baking. Sometimes we try substituting ingredients, like substituting eggs with another ingredient to make it an eggless cake. That's not recommended. If you want an eggless cake, you need an eggless recipe because every ingredient reacts differently. I wouldn't recommend choosing alternatives unless a recipe calls for it. Ingredients are needed for a reason. More often than not, a cake fail is because the recipe wasn't properly followed. To avoid dense cakes, sunken cakes, and overflowing cakes, use the right size pans. Do not substitute a 6-inch pan for a 9-inch pan. Use the size of the pan that is mentioned in the recipe itself. No matter what size or cake pan brand you are using, make sure you prepare it properly. I generally grease my pan with butter, then lightly flour it, and then place a parchment paper. I also grease the parchment paper. This way, you will avoid the cake from sticking to the pan. One mismeasured ingredient is the line between a successful recipe and a failed recipe. We often measure flour using these measuring cups. Sometimes we just scoop out the dry ingredients like flour or sugar. Scooping the flour could give you an amount more than mentioned in the recipe. Instead, while measuring flour or any dry ingredients, use the spoon and level method. Using a spoon, scoop the flour and put it into your measuring cup. And do not pack the flour down or tap it. Instead, using the back of the spoon, just level off the top of the measuring cup. Now, you have spoon and level the flour. For liquid ingredients, use a clear liquid measuring jar or cups with a spout. Always have your ingredients, especially butter, eggs, or any dairy ingredients like milk or yogurt, at room temperature. The reason is the room temperature ingredients emulsify much easier into the batter and creates a uniform texture. Use cold butter only if the recipe calls for it, like if you're making pie dough. Eggs also add much more volume to the batter when they are at room temperature. Read through the recipe thoroughly. Measure or weigh your ingredients beforehand and place them on the counter. If we do this, there is very little room for error. You avoid scrambling and rushing during the recipe process. You will also avoid ingredient substitutions. Remember, baking is a chemistry. I also have a detailed video on Mise En Place Prep like a pro. I'll leave the link in the description box below if you'd like to check it out. An oven's temperature can either make or break a recipe. What can completely throw off the oven temperature is constantly opening and closing the oven door to peek inside. It is exciting to see what's baking and seeing the cake rise, but doing this will let the cool air in, which interrupts the baked goods from cooking or rising properly. If you need to check the cake to see if it's done, remove the cake from the oven, close the door immediately, and then using a toothpick or a skewer, you can insert it in the middle of the cake and put it back if it needs to be baked some more. The only similarities between baking powder and baking soda are that they both are white and they both are leaveners. Baking soda or sodium bicarbonate needs something acidic in the recipe, which creates carbon dioxide, which in turn creates bubbles, and this helps the batter to rise. The acidic ingredients are buttermilk, vinegar, lemon juice, cream of tartar, cocoa powder, the natural one and not touched. Baking powder, on the other hand, is a combination of baking soda and cream of tartar, and since it already has an acidic element, that is cream of tartar, an inactive ingredient like cornstarch is needed to keep the two from reacting until a liquid is added, which produces carbon dioxide and in turn causes leavening. So, we cannot substitute baking powder for baking soda and vice versa. Always demold the cake when it's completely cooled. Let the cake cool in the pan for at least 15 minutes before demolding. If it's hot or warm, chances are that it can break while demolding it, as hot cakes are very delicate. After demolding, let it rest on a wire rack for 10 minutes. Most recipes ask you to sift dry ingredients such as flour, cocoa powder, baking soda, icing, sugar. Sifting is an important step as it helps to combine all the different ingredients evenly before they are mixed with other ingredients like butter or eggs. It also helps to remove lumps that are generally found mostly in cocoa powder, baking soda and icing sugar. All these tips seem pretty basic, but the success of a good cake or cookie or any baked product depends on these basics. So try and implement them. So that's it from me now. I hope you liked this video. Please do give it a thumbs up and share it if you like. And also do consider subscribing. Until next time, bye. Have a lovely weekend.